Okay, imagine a knee replacement that isn't really a replacement at all. I mean, one that doesn't use any metal or plastic, but actually uses your body's own cells to regrow a brand new, living joint. I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But believe it or not, researchers at Columbia University are making it a reality. So let's dive into this incredible breakthrough. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll dig into the massive problem of osteoarthritis and why what we're doing now just isn't cutting it. Then, we'll introduce this revolutionary idea, the living knee. We're going to break down exactly how it's built, look at its super fast progress, and then really get into what this all means for millions of people.
All right, so to really get why this new tech is such a game changer, you've got to understand the scale of the problem it's up against. We're talking about the crisis in our joints, and it's all driven by osteoarthritis.
And this is not some small niche issue. Look at that number. Over 32 million people in the US alone are dealing with this. It's one of the top causes of disability, and it absolutely changes people's lives from the ground up.
And what does that actually look like, day to day? Well, it's chronic pain. It's stiffness that just keeps getting worse. It means losing the ability to do simple things you and I take for granted, like climbing a flight of stairs. It's so widespread that it leads to almost 800,000 knee replacements in the US every single year.
But here's the real kicker. For so many people, those hundreds of thousands of surgeries, they're just a temporary fix. They solve the problem for now, but they set up a whole new one for the future. You see, traditional implants are made of metal and plastic. They're basically foreign objects with a shelf life. We're talking 15, maybe 20 years tops. Now, if you're a younger, active person, that pretty much guarantees you'll be back for another, even more complicated surgery later on.
And that is exactly the problem this new technology is designed to obliterate. This is a permanent biological solution, and they're calling it the living knee.
So the official name is Novak knee, and the whole concept is just brilliant. It starts with a custom 3D printed scaffold that's actually designed to dissolve over time. Then they take that scaffold and infuse it with the patient's own stem cells. The goal? To trick the body into building itself a brand new joint from scratch.
And this really captures the ultimate vision, doesn't it? It's not about making a better artificial part. The whole point is to create a fully biological joint, one that feels, moves, and adapts just like the one you were born with, but without any of the problems of metal and plastic.
So, how in the world do you actually build a living joint? Well, this is where you get this amazing fusion of really sophisticated engineering and cutting-edge biology.
The whole process is just fascinating. First, they scan your knee to create a perfect digital blueprint. Then, a 3D printer makes a custom scaffold out of this special polymer that can biodegrade. Third, they seed that scaffold with your own stem cells, which they can get from a simple fat sample. Fourth, it's surgically implanted. And then, this is where the magic happens. Over about a year, that scaffold completely dissolves away, while your own cells are busy rebuilding real, living bone and cartilage right in its place. I mean, when you put them side by side like this, the difference is just night and day. Instead of foreign materials, you have your own cells. Instead of a 15-year ticking clock, you have a potential lifetime solution. And maybe most importantly, the whole idea of painful repeated revision surgeries just goes away.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds amazing, but is it just a theory? Is it stuck in a lab somewhere? Well, let's look at the road to reality, because the progress here has been incredibly fast. The researchers themselves are pretty upfront about it. They call it a high-risk, high-reward endeavor. They knew it was a massive, ambitious goal, but the potential payoff for patients was just too huge to pass up.
And that risk is definitely paying off. In 2024, the project landed almost $39 million from ARPA-H, which is a federal agency that backs these huge biomedical moonshots. By 2026, they had already blown past all their preclinical milestones, and now they're thinking human trials could start as early as 2028, which is way ahead of schedule.
And of course, a breakthrough like this takes an absolute dream team. We're talking a massive collaboration across Columbia's engineering, surgery, and even dental medicine departments, all with that crucial funding from ARPA-H and a dedicated company, NovaJoint, ready to bring it to patients.
So, let's bring it all back home. What does all this incredible science and funding actually mean for real people living with osteoarthritis every day? We could be looking at a whole new era in patient care.
So what does this mean for that person who can't play with their grandkids anymore, or can't hike their favorite trail, or heck, can't even walk down the street without being in pain?
It means a permanent solution. It means getting back to an active life without that little voice in the back of your head worrying about an implant wearing out. It means a personalized treatment using your own body with fewer risks of rejection or inflammation. Plain and simple, it means getting your quality of life back. For good.
And the impact here goes way beyond just the individual patient. Think about it. By drastically cutting down on all those follow-up surgeries, this kind of technology could seriously lower healthcare costs for everybody. It could totally transform our society's overall mobility and reduce the huge burden of disability.
And that just leaves us with this one last powerful question to think about. This whole thing starts with the knee, but what if we could apply this same idea to regenerate, not just replace, to any joint in the human body? The possibilities are just absolutely revolutionary.
The journey from the lab to the clinic is definitely still underway, but the future of how we treat our joints is looking incredibly bright. For more on this breakthrough, be sure to visit our website, Ferris Solution.